Hello everyone, this is Nixan, your favorite tech YouTuber, and today I'm going to enlighten you about the things to consider while buying second-hand PC. So let's get directly into the content, shall we? So, who buys a second-hand PC? Of course, you, me, or anyone who has a really tight budget or wants something decent in a low budget. If I could say something to my past self, then it will be this. hamrobazar.com. Hey, what you doing? Searching for PC. Your budget? It's just like 20 to 30k. Oh, so you're buying that second-hand PC? Yes. Why though? Then just save up and buy a better PC rather than this. Otherwise, you will regret. Why would I even regret? You will know in the future. Such a weirdo. The number one thing you should know while buying second-hand PC is it should run, right? Wrong! There are a lot of things you should consider. Like check for physical damage. Whether the PC you are going to buy has some physical damage or not. It might be in a pretty bad situation if you are buying a really rusty old PC. So my suggestion is don't go for a really old PC. That comes to my suggestion number 2. Check the age of the PC. If the seller has been using it for some months or even a year, it should not have any problems. If the seller is using this PC for more than 2 years, then it should have a really old framework which may cause some problems. And also some of the softwares may not run in it. After you find the age, you should check the cooling of the PC, or you might say airflow. Some PC might have malfunction cooling fans which might cause a serious issue just like overheating. If the computer you are going to buy has an overheating issue, then you should probably move from that and look for another one. After that, plug in all the cables and try to boot it up. Let it run for 20 minutes and try to find out some noticeable problems. If it is working well, then good, you are ready to move to another point. But if it is not working, then dump the PC. After the PC is booted, go to performance monitor and monitor the performance and the activity of the PC. Second-hand PCs are most likely to have performance drop, but still if the specs are all good, then the performance may not vary much. That takes us to the very important part of any PCs. The specs. While you have been finding the second-hand PC, you must have seen the specs on the list. You need to do is get a better value for money specs in that price. The very first thing you should check about a PC in the specs list is storage device. If it consists SSD or SSD. If it consists SSD, then it is perfect. But if it is used for more than 5 years, then you have to buy a new one. Same goes for SSD as well. The longer you use the storage device, the more bad sectors it begins to form, which basically corrupts your storage device. So if the storage devices are used for only 2 years or so, then it is perfect for use only if you format them, as it might have malware that you don't want to have in your PC. So my ultimate solution will be buy a new hard drive or SSD, as you may suffer from data loss after being corrupted, as I suffered recently. Because of my old hard drive, it literally gave up and I had to suffer a huge data loss. And also my SSD got bricked. So consider buying a new one if you are buying a second hand. Next thing is GPU. If you are buying second hand, then it must contain some sort of GPU. Even GTX 950 or GTX 1050 would work. But seeing the current GPU market, it is extremely hard to find a GPU in under the 50k budget. So the only option you have is an APU build, which basically means all the graphic power are integrated inside your processor. But nowadays APUs are very powerful, like Ryzen 3200G or 3400. Another important part is power supply. If your second hand has a really old power supply and is not even branded or 80+ rated, then you should consider changing the power supply ASAP, because the older PSU is not more efficient and are most likely to fail. Power supply failure can cause your whole PC to fail as well. That's why I changed my old power supply to P550B GB power supply, which has 80+ bronze rating. Another thing to check is RAM. Check the memory of the RAM and also the frequency. That will determine the speed and how much load can it handle. Don't settle for less than 8GB RAM, as most of the games and softwares nowadays runs at least at 8GB. Another one of the important things is motherboard, as it will determine how much upgradable your PC will be in the future. But in the less than 50k budget, you might not get a better motherboard, but at least you can get a motherboard that can support DDR4 RAM and more than 7th-gen processor. Most likely motherboards will not have much problem, but also it is better to inquire about the motherboard if it had faulty parts or had to repair it. Now last but not the least is processor. As you all know, there are two main processor companies, AMD and Intel. Intel has its own set of processors which has generation. The more the generation it is, the better the performance it has. Just like I have the i3 10th generation, which can most probably beat most of the CPUs out there, at least in that budget range. But nowadays AMD has been producing a lot of great range of processors. But I will say you one thing, if the PC has more than
an Intel 7th generation processor, then it will be awesome. But if you are going for AMD processor, then go for Ryzen 3100 or 3200Z. By the way, CPU and motherboard are the things that has to go together. Inquire the age about all the specs and the used period as well. Now the last thing is research. You have to find a better value for money PC builds. I got my first second-hand PC from Hamra Bazaar, and most of the people get second-hand things from Hamra Bazaar as well. So Hamra Bazaar is a viable choice for most of the second-hand buyers. But there are some Facebook groups as well, like PCMR Nepal, where there will be some people who will want to sell their used PC. Even if you are in tight budget, when you are buying second-hand PC, you have to get a better specs. So you have to search more PCs and compare them. Check their prices and sort them out according to your budget. Again, after that, compare their specs, and whatever fits the perfect budget for you and has a better specs, then that PC is perfect and ready to buy. While checking the specs and inquiring with this seller, remember to know all these stuffs that I taught you today.
Thank you very much for watching this video till the last. If I missed anything or said anything wrong, then you are always free to correct me in the comment section down below. And also join our Discord server to connect with me and make friends. If you like this video, then don't forget to hit that like button down below. Share it with your friends so they will also know about it. And lastly, subscribe and press that bell icon for more tech videos. This is Nixan signing out from this video. See you all in the next one.